the Cranky Ape himself, the Maverick. No, we aren't talking about Top Gun.
Ended up finding the snowmobile in the middle of a farm field because we talked to the ex-wife and the kid, his kid, in some house. She's yelling at us, and all of a sudden the kid walks down the stairs, and I looked at him and I said, "Hey, where's your dad's snowmobile?" "Oh, it's at the Johnson farm." Knock on the door. This probably 300-pound guy is in boxer shorts and a wife beater with a shotgun. The kid next to me, he
pissed his pants.
He's dropping a load in his shorts and stuff. And so the minute we sit in the truck, what does the kid say to me? "I quit." He's like, "I'm done."
Do you think 100 unarmed humans could take on a fully grown silverback gorilla?
Now you're getting into like the mental part of it. So all of a sudden you see two of them go down, and then you're like, "I'm out of here." Yeah. So you're motivated by money.
Exactly.
The silverback's motivated by survival.
Yeah,
I think he's got one up because he's fighting for his life. Then I typed in Cranky Ape, and it pulled up, and I turned to him and I said, "Cranky Ape." I said, a badass looking ape on a Harley with ape hangers and a tattoo.
So we know you have a big family, from a basketball star to a famous gamer on TikTok.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Yeah. Raising boys, I think, is a lot easier than raising girls.
Who's your favorite? Right, of course. Well, we'll send this to all of them. All right. Welcome, guys. We have a great episode today. Weekly Deposit episode number 22 with the Cranky Ape himself, the Maverick. No, we aren't talking about Top Gun. A graduate of Mankato State University here in Minnesota, a fierce entrepreneur, a mentor to many, an incredible youth hockey coach, a father of 6 talented kids, a hardworking husband. Please welcome to the pod, Jay Adams from Cranky Ape.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We're super excited to sit down and talk with you. You know, we've Alec, our videographer, has told us so much about you, and we're like, yeah, man, let's get him on the pod.
It better be good.
So yeah, we're under pressure already. All right, good. No, we always like to kind of start with some softball questions, something a little to get the viewers to know you.
Sure.
And everything like that. So we want to start off with this interesting question here. Do you think 100 unarmed humans could take on a fully grown silverback gorilla?
100 unarmed humans.
Against a silverback.
A silverback gorilla.
A fully grown.
Do you know how strong they are?
I do. I
want to hear your answer.
I'm going to say no. I think they have just superhuman strength, and even...
Like 100, like legit.
Like what size? Like your size? Maybe.
No. 100 legit big guys, like bouncers at the club guys.
Now, is it just to submission, or is it like totally taking the silverback out?
Taking them out.
Wait, what do you mean taking, like killing him?
Yeah, like killing.
No, not killing, like knockout. Yeah, sub.
All right, then I'll take the 100. I'll take the 100 guys his size. I think they could do it.
Well, but how are you gonna punch the gorilla or something?
Like,
how are
his
you gonna
size,
knock him
height,
out?
or like him big? Because I'm talking like you gotta be bigger. Because no offense, bro, silverback would just
100 of me though.
Yeah, but 100 of him grabbing the arms. I mean, if you had,
I can hold his leg,
holding one arm and 10 on the other. I mean,
yeah, I can hold his leg for dear life.
I don't know.
100 of me.
I don't know. Listen, we're talking a silverback, like it, and once that chain breaks, that one where one of you
now you're getting into like the mental part of it. So all of a sudden you see two of them go down, and then you're like, I'm out of here. Yeah. So
and then it's rampage.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
It depends what attitude the 100.
We got to be pissed off.
Come in.
I mean,
if they're coming in, they're going to be fierce.
Let's say the 100 people can get like a huge cash reward, right? Like some Squid Game type thing.
So they're
super motivated.
I'll take 50.
Super motivated.
I'll take 50. like life-changing money.
Like very. I mean, I don't know what your spending habits are, so I can't say.
Okay.
I saw his wallet earlier.
Right, because life changing could be very different for a lot of people.
Right. Okay, well,
some people
let's
win
just say
millions.
$1 million each.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but people can super go broke off that million. But yeah, sure, let's say $1 million.
Yeah, just to say that.
Let's just say motivated, whatever the cash amount is.
Man, the strength of the silverback.
The gorilla is
the
going
motivation.
To win.
We have to talk about that.
See, but now the motivation, you're motivated by money.
Exactly.
Yes. The silverback's motivated by survival.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm thinking with the strength of the silverback, like what I originally said,
Yeah,
I think
it's
that
the
silverback. He's got one up because
That's
he's
true.
fighting for his life.
That's
You're fighting just to get cash so you can.
I mean, when that silverback hits you, then you're fighting for your life too,
It
though.
hit you, I'd be more afraid of throwing you and slamming. I mean, oh
Yeah,
man,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I'm telling you, once that chain breaks, because he doesn't, he's just one. So like once, like let's say you're all holding him, Thanos style,
Right.
and it's just the second he throws one of you off, it's done.
It's done.
Okay. Now that we got that out of the way.
Great question.
Yeah.
Yes. Way to break the ice. I like that.
Now
I like
that we
it.
got that out of the way. Okay, so Jay, tell us what, growing up, what did you want to do, and what were your kind of dreams and aspirations? What was it, something to be like an entrepreneur? Is there something else that you had in mind?
Okay, so when we go way back, my upbringing was middle class. My dad worked for 3M for 35 years.
Okay.
He's in middle management. I grew up in Woodbury, so not real downtown struggle or anything. It was a middle class upbringing. It was very nice. Originally, what I wanted until I hit college was I wanted to play pro hockey, man. I loved hockey. It's been my life for 50 years. Found out real quick in college that there was no chance in hell that was going to happen, which was fine. I played a few years of hockey, but I think my story is, and I actually speak at Mankato on this, I went to Mankato strictly to play hockey. So I got recruited out of Woodbury. It was Division III at the time. It wasn't Division I. I went down there with the specific goal just to extend my hockey career. I went down there for business, so I graduated with a Bachelor of Science with concentrations in marketing, real estate, insurance, and a minor in international business. The reason I went into business, and I'm sure there's many people that are in the same boat when I speak to the students down in Mankato, I went into sales specifically because my dad told me I'd be good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I talk a lot. I mean, your video guy here, he knows how much I talk. I have a story for everything. But it's not really what I wanted. But I followed what my dad really wanted me to do, and it did set me back for a little bit. Now, do I hold it against him and stuff? No. But when I speak down there, what I say is, go into something you want to go into, not something everybody else tells you to go into. So that's how I got into it. I didn't have any visions of being an entrepreneur, and frankly, I struggle with that term, entrepreneur. I think there's a connotation about it that you're this highfalutin, risk-taking guy, and all this stuff. And you guys know, you start your own thing. When in reality, the most successful business owners that I've come across, they've started something, not bought an existing one, and that's great that you can do that. But somebody who started in a basement, in a backyard, like me and my partner did. We didn't think of ourselves as these big, oh yeah, we're an entrepreneur, I'm going to be the next so-and-so. We basically just said, at that point, I'd worked in the business world, working for large companies. $4 million, $4 billion, huge companies, and there's a number. And so I did it for about 10 years in sales. I did very well because my dad was right. I can connect with people, and I can fill needs and stuff like that and figure it out. But it did nothing for me. The money was great. I had this huge house. I did, all this stuff. But I'd get up every morning. My bosses were in Chicago, so I worked out of Minnesota. So, my golf handicap got down to like a 3. Okay. But I was still putting up the numbers. I was winning trips, but I'd get up every morning and just be like, holy crap, I can't do this. Yeah. I can't do it. There's no reward for it. Okay. Mm-hmm. You land a $4 million deal, and what happens in a big corporation? Your quota gets increased for the next year by $4 million, and you're like, oh, gee, thanks. But I understand it from
it's a hamster in the wheel.
Yeah, and I understand from a business standpoint. They want growth, and they report to shareholders and all that. I get that, but from a personal point, it's very defeating when you're getting up and you're like, oh, I don't want the products I was selling. I was in the barcode world, talk about printing and barcoding.
Yeah.
Nothing against printing and barcoding. People do great, and people love it, and they find that as their passion. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It was. You're selling paper and stuff, and to me, that's like
it's not exciting.
No, not at all. So, I got
Dunder Mifflin.
Funny enough, yes. I used to sell big boxes of paper and stuff, and then custom printed. I sold cash register receipt tape. Now that's funny, But I worked for a company that was selling big multinational company. I mean, I
big
sold,
boys.
I sold Petco and Target. I mean, you're talking millions of dollars worth of this stuff. Again, the number's great. The product sucks. It's like, oh God, how boring is that? And so after, like 10 years, I was just like, I need to do something. I can't do this anymore. And I had 3 young kids at the time, a mortgage, car payments and stuff. And and I don't know if you want to go down this road, but in starting the business, and I don't know if you experienced that too, when I said I was going to try to figure out what I want to do, there were a lot of naysayers, and the people that were naysayers
the closest to
were the people that you'd least expect. I mean,
the
family, close friends. They're like, "What are you doing? Why are you going to do that?" And that, I think, is a big obstacle to people that want to start their own business. I think it's just it's one of those things that they're like, yeah, maybe they're right. Well, reality sets in when the pain becomes so much. My reality was I hated what I was doing. I didn't mind the sales, but sales wasn't for me. It just wasn't. Okay, I'll tell you, I didn't enjoy one aspect of it, from cold calling to the negotiation. I was just like, it's a job. Now I do it every day. Okay.
Sales is everything, though. Like,
it is.
Me telling my kid to go to sleep at a certain time is sales.
That's all it is.
Me trying to sell him on going to sleep early.
And that's what it is. And then when you start your own business, you really realize that, because now you have suppliers, and every aspect of it is you're trying to get. We have roughly 75 employees, and the sales on them is, hey, we got a new healthcare program, and we have to sell it as owners. We're like, this
to
is,
retain them and keep them. And
this is better for you, and all that stuff. So the sales thing that I didn't like that whole process of it in the big business. Now I do it. I mean, my partner and I go into some of the biggest banks in the country, and we're selling our services. And to me, it's not sales. That's fun.
No. I mean, you have a passion for it.
Exactly, and it's the company, and this is like another child. You say I have 6 kids. There's a 7th one there, and a couple more. And so really, when I was looking to do something, if you want to go down this road. I was working for another company, and I was flying. I had 29 states that I covered for sales. And so I'd fly a lot. I mean, I was going all over, and on those flights, I would actually read a book, not on my phone, because we didn't have those back in the late 90s. But I was reading just a lot. I was trying to accumulate as much information into, starting a company and all this. And I lucked out in that one of my top customer, for the company that I was working for, I pulled him aside, and this guy was selling $4 or $5 million a year product for me, these barcode printers, and I trusted him, and I said, hey, I'm looking to do something on my own, and he's actually a really close friend of mine and a mentor, and he said, here's the book you got to read, and it was called Beyond Entrepreneurship by James Collins. I don't know if you're familiar with James Collins. I've read the book probably 30 times, front to back, but James Collins, he was a Stanford professor. He left Stanford now, but what he would do is he would base his writings just on facts. Okay, him and his students, they would research what makes a great company. There's a book out there called Good to Great by him. It wasn't this how to do it. It's hey, how did 3M succeed when the other sandpaper company failed? Similar sizes, similar time frames, similar market, and it really analyzed what the pitfalls were. But this Beyond Entrepreneurship laid out for me when I was on these flights. I started writing not a business plan. I've never written a formal business plan for the Cranky Ape. That's the main company, and I have other companies. But I wrote a vision plan. So I wrote this thing down, and basically what the vision plan was what is my company going to look like? Okay. What are the values and beliefs, which are the most important to me and my partner? What is that structure going to look like? Now, I did that over the course of maybe 2.5 years. So I'm writing all this, doing all this stuff, but I didn't have a product or service. Okay, so that I think is another like
speaking into an existence. In a sense. And it's going to come together eventually.
Well, you hope, but I think that oftentimes people who do want to go start something and go do something, they get stuck on that because they think they got to reinvent the wheel. They think they have to, I have to do this, and it's going to be, I'm going to be the next Bezos or whatever, and it's got to be something, that's earth-shattering. And so I started investigating things just on my own. I was like, okay, what can I do? I'm a sales guy. Well, I want to get into sales. Do I want, I was in printing. Am I going to start a printing company? You know, why would I want to do that? No. That's what I didn't like. So then you tend to think, okay, what are my passions? Okay, sports, you already brought it up. Yeah. I coached hockey for 32 years now. You know, you try to find the passion you have. Well, golf, I love golf, okay?
Yeah.
The problem with that is, can you monetize it to provide for your family?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to make the tour. I'm not
that good. I was going to say, I don't know.
Yeah, so you may have that. Now there are offshoots of that, like and Alec, your video guy, he also knows Michael Jordan, who started Unreal. I'm very good friends with Michael Jordan.
Great brand, by the way.
He's in the golf world.
Yes.
So there are other things, but at the time, I think what a lot of people do is they get stuck on, oh, I got to do this. Well, I looked at everything from, you know, promotional products to real estate, because I have a degree, and at one point I had my license, but it just wasn't for me. I mean, it takes a distinct personality to, you know, do what you guys do.
Appreciate that.
And yeah, it does. It really does. And so what ended up happening was kicking around all these ideas. I'm still, you know, getting up every day, making great money, and I got season tickets to the first season of the Minnesota Wild. And a high school, actually a childhood friend, my partner was 4 and I was 5 when we met. Our dads were our first hockey coaches and stuff. He played at Augsburg, I was at Mankato. He's a year younger than me. I took him to one of the very first Wild games. And my partner's background is law enforcement. He was a cop for about 4 years for Washington County. It took a toll on him and his family. He was working nights, and he's like, you know, I can't do this anymore. But his real background was his dad owned a independent claims adjusting firm in Oakdale, okay? So large insurance companies would contract with him. Say you wreck your boat, they'd call him, they would go settle the claim. So my partner would go out and he would make all these adjustments and settle with the guy and stuff. Okay. Then they would call a company to pick up the salvage, okay, the wreck boat. They would then take that wreck boat and they would go to a dealer-only auto salvage auction, okay? So this is 2000. What my partner did, since I've known him since he was like 10 or 11, he used his dad's connections with dealers, and he would go with them on a Wednesday, okay? So on any given Wednesday, some of these large dealer-only salvage auctions would run 3,000 wrecked cars, trucks, vans, and stuff. Jeez. At the very end, they would do a specialty auction. So what they would roll through there would be ATVs, motorcycles, anything that wasn't a car, truck, or van, the boat that he had just done.
Yeah.
Well, my partner, and I give him all the credit in the world for the idea for what we're doing, for the service. Yeah. So we kind of melded. I had this. I'm like, dude, we should do this. And he's like, hey, I got this idea. So what he would do is he would go to the auction with a dealer friend. He would buy a wreck, say ATV, okay? He would buy it for $800. Thing's hammered.
Yeah.
He would bring it home. He would tear it down, put $800 worth of parts into it in his labor, and then he'd sell it to guys like me, his buddies, for $3,000. Okay, and he did that since he was like 10.
Okay? Jeez. Okay, so he has a good business model there.
so his was, we're sitting at this Wild game, and he goes, Jay, I know you want to start your own company. And at the time, eBay was a true auction. I don't consider it a true auction anymore because most of it is. They have it on there, and they set a reserve that's so high that they want to negotiate at the end to get their ultimate dollar. But at the time, it really was. It closed at say, noon, and whoever was the high bidder at the end won that thing. So people came up with all these programs that could get the last bid in and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the liquidation model for the wreck stuff was in-person auctions. Okay, only. You had to be there. There was no online. There was no online auction. There was nothing out there for it. So we're sitting up there having a beer, and he looks at me and he says, hey, I got this idea. He goes, why don't we start our own salvage auction? Go out and contract with banks and insurance companies, or not banks, just insurance companies, get their salvage, and we'll sell it online to the general public, to guys like us, because I'm a hack wrencher. Like one of my sons is like amazing at wrenching. My partner's like Rain Man when it comes to fixing stuff, like on cars and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was sitting up there, and he goes, well, just go get their wrecked snowmobiles and ATVs. And I thought, that'd be pretty cool. I could wake up every morning and I'm dealing with stuff I like, ATVs, snowmobiles. So left the game, went home the next day and just started working on it and started calling insurance companies I would call the auction. I'd like call one of the local auctions and I'd say, hey, I'm Jason from Progressive Insurance. And they'd be like, yeah. I said, I'd be like, hey, I got an ATV. I got to run through your auction. What's it going to cost me? And like you learn in business, when you hit certain levels within companies, they'll vomit information.
Oh, for sure.
And so I started just accumulating all this information on rates and all this stuff.
Yeah. Get all the inside details.
Yeah. And it seemed really easy. I mean, people were just like, yeah, this. And so it took about 8 months for us to get everything set up. We had a very, very like simple website. Mm-hmm. You guys will laugh at this. Basically, we did it on a product called Microsoft Front Page. Okay, if you research this, you're going to go, holy cow, how can you do this? But we landed our first account. So we organized and got our LLC documents and everything a week before 9/11 in our LLC. Yeah. This is pertinent because I was making calls to all the major insurance companies prior to that. Okay, sales. Okay, didn't seem like sales, but I'm.
But you're still making calls.
I'm hammering the phones.
Yep.
Week after we get our official LLC document and all the legal stuff, the Twin Towers go down and all this, and I'm calling specifically Progressive Insurance to try to get their business. Mm-hmm. Their response is, do you know how many thousands of automobiles we just lost in New York City alone? We're not looking for anyone, especially I'm sitting there going, yeah, somebody's working out of their basement in your partner's backyard. You know, for Progressive, they're huge. You look at motorcycles and stuff. So we had a little setback right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Okay. We landed our first client, which we still have, a small little mutual insurance company up in northern Minnesota. They assigned us like a snowmobile and a wrecked ATV, and so we put it on our website. And at the time, our website was called Totaled Fun. Okay. The way Front Page worked is the auction process wasn't automated, so it was fax based.
Oh,
you remember fax? You guys are way younger than me, but it rolls of thermal paper would be coming out.
Fax. Yeah.
So if you can imagine, like right now, we sell about between 1 and 1.5 million every Wednesday on auction, and so early on we didn't have much. We didn't have much volume, but at the same time, if we had 3 units online, the fax would go off, and it'd be a screen name, and I would have to go to one computer and update it, and now they're the high bidder. Yeah. And then another one come in, and I'd run back, and after about 3 weeks, my partner and I said, we got to pay to have somebody do this, and we actually had his brother-in-law and his brother-in-law's twin brother actually developed the first website for us for Total Fun. That was automated, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is great,
the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, what a great thing. But we still faced a lot of setbacks, and I think we were talking earlier about I was speaking of there's a lot of hesitancy to start companies because of setbacks, and I think what separates what I feel are successful, not based on income, but just on having a good time in your job, liking what you do and all that, is perseverance. You see these setbacks, and there's no question in your mind that you're not going to come out of it. I don't care what it is. Yeah. And you guys experience it, I would assume. We still do after 22 years. There's things that happen that you just go, holy cow, how's this? Oh, this is really good, bad. Yeah. And if you have the right mindset, it's like, okay, you get up the next day, let's just go. Let's just figure this out. And you just keep going. Yeah, you worry and you have anxiety and all that, but you're not frozen by it.
No, and so you find a solution to it.
You do. And somehow you figure it out if you want it to work out. But there's a lot of people that will hit that I've consulted with and that I've tried to provide guidance to that they just give up.
They hit that wall and they give up.
They do. Yeah. They think it's the end. And sometimes that is the case. I mean, if it's a financial thing that you can't dig yourself out of.
Okay, Jay, tell us a little bit about your company, Cranky Ape, but we want kind of like the Uber elevator pitch, right? Like if someone were watching this in a clip, in a short reel, right, they hear the name Cranky Ape, it's like, okay, well, what is that? That sounds like a very interesting name. I remember when Alec first told me, I was like, that could be like some streetwear brand or something. Like it sounds like a very interesting name.
So let me take a step back to what I was just talking about that salvage auction. Yeah. And how we progressed, because I'll get into where the name came from and all that, because our original website was Totaled Fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You total your snowmobile, that's fun. You total your ATV, that's fun.
Okay, I get that.
Okay. So it's Totaled Fun. So we played off that. So we got into got our first account, all that good stuff. struggled that first year. We basically sold, I think we had $134,000 in gross sales, so top-line sales through auction. That consisted of probably 90% of my own items I own, my partner's items, his family's items. Yeah. It wasn't client-based, okay? So we had a couple small insurance companies, but we had to have something on the website to sell. And it's like, oh, there's a snowmobile. Well, I don't use it. Let's just sell it. After about a year, probably a year and a half, a major bank contacted us. And it was an interesting thing because we got into the salvage, into the insurance world. And all of a sudden we have a bank calling, and through talking with the person, the guy's, I'd say his name, but I won't. Name I'll never forget. It sounded like a stage name. But he said, have you ever thought about selling repos? And we're like, no, but you guys know you look at opportunities, especially when you're a year into a company that you're
profitable.
You're looking to generate cash flow and stuff. And so we're like, yeah, sure. And well, long story short, what it ended up being was the liquidation model for repossessed salvage or specialty vehicles is identical to the insurance world. So there's all these big, large auto auctions out there. And the banks would send all their volume to them, and on any Wednesday, all these auto dealers would come in, and they would stand there in a line, and you got, the auctioneer, with his fast mouth, blah, 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 and they're going, yep, I'll buy it. And then at the end, they would run specialty. Now, this stuff's not wrecked, okay? So there's RVs going through there. There's, really nice boats that were all repossessed. So my partner and I are like, yeah, why not? So we get into negotiations. It's a top 5 bank. So here we're 2 small guys at this totaled fund. My corporate name is Midwest Recreational Clearinghouse LLC, so it's MRC. So we end up going down to their offices, and through about an 8-month period, we sign all this paperwork. I had no idea what, we didn't have a corporate lawyer at the time and all this stuff. Yeah. So my partner and I were like, let's just read. Yeah, why not? You're signing. You do what you got to do. In the meetings, they're like, hey, how big of a boat could you guys handle? We own like 2 trucks, which were personal vehicles, and we got a drop gate trailer. We're like, we can move boats up to 34 feet. Oh, great. Yeah. We couldn't. We didn't have any of that, but we're like, we could do that. Yeah, we could do it. Because we figured it out.
Yep. Figure it out as you go.
Exactly.
Everything you're saying, 100%.
So we signed this deal, and we're like, this is going to be great. Top 5 bank. I mean, it's thousands of units, repossessed units and all this. Yeah. And I'm sitting, we're still working out of my basement in my partner's backyard. We had a friend whose dad had he bought a commercial building just for his own stuff. We used to stage it to bring potential clients in. And so, no kidding. We'd move all his stuff out. We'd bring all like friend stuff in, and I'd barcode it because I came from that world, and we'd have like coffee in there and stuff, and we'd have an insurance company come through, and they'd be like, "Oh, this is nice." And then as soon as they left, we'd have to get all the stuff back to our friends.
You just figured out our whole setup. Here.
Yeah, exactly. But
we're gonna get all this out of here.
Yeah, exactly. But so we signed this deal, and I'll never forget it. I was sitting in the office in my basement, and the fax machine, because it still was all paper based, and the fax machine went off, and there's about 35 pages that came through, and I'm looking at this, and I'm reading through it, and it's got like addresses and all this stuff, and it's places of employment and credit stuff and all this and utility bills, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And so I called up my contact there, and I'll tell you first, his name was Chris, and I said, hey, Chris, Jay at MRC, because we weren't Cranky Ape at the time. And I said, hey, I just got your fax. And he goes, call me when you got it. And I said, huh? He goes, just call me when you recover it. Yeah. And I said, okay. And I hung up, and I called my partner, and I said, Brian, I think they want us to do the repo. And my partner goes, really? And I said, yeah. I said, is that what we signed? He's like, I don't know. Yeah. And I said, what do you want to do? And he goes, let's go get it.
Yeah, we got to do it.
Let's go get it. And so he picked me up, and we had a trailer, and it was I'll never forget it. It was a Venture 2-up snowmobile. And so we left, this was at 8 o'clock in the morning. We were out the door by 8:30. We went down to southern Minnesota. We started driving around all this stuff. It took us about 3 hours. We ended up finding the snowmobile in the middle of a farm field in this lean-to, because we talked to the ex-wife and his kid in some house. She's yelling at us, and all of a sudden the kid walks down the stairs, and I looked at him and I said, hey, where's your dad's snowmobile? Oh, it's at the Johnson farm. And we're like, thank you. And she's like, you shouldn't have told him that. Well, we found the Johnson farm. We stopped at a gas station and said, do you know where the Johnson farm is? Yeah, it's like 4 miles down the road. We pulled in there, and my partner, as we're pulling in, he goes, there's 2 snowmobiles up on a trailer. So he just took a left through this field. We didn't even talk to people. He drove up to it, looked at the VIN on the snowmobile. Yeah. It was it, and we yanked it on our trailer, and we drove back.
That was your first repo?
That was our first repo. And so for about 3 or 4 years.
It's an adrenaline rush.
It was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome. But my partner and
it's like you're hunting.
And now we have a repossession company as well called Matrix Recovery Services, but because we found out we were really good at it. Because specialty is different than cars. Okay?
Yeah.
You take somebody's boat in the middle of winter, they're like, okay. You take somebody's car, they're like, how are we going to get the kids to school? And they're tending to be, you see all those TV shows, that's where they really get it. Ours was real special. So, specialty stuff. And, there were some sketchy things, but over a span probably of 3-4 years, my partner and I probably did 300, 400 repos, just the two of us. Jeez. And we'd fly all across the country. We'd pop big.
Oh, this is nationwide?
Yeah, we'd pop big. The account was so big that, we'd fly into Vegas and grab a big RV and drive it back. And yeah,
I bet Vegas would be.
You talk about doing anything to get going. This was like we just rolled into it. We had no idea, and we had to learn all the laws and stuff. And we were talking about some of that beforehand. How it can affect your business. And there are certain states we couldn't.
That all comes afterward. I think what you've pinpointed here is take action, major action, right?
Correct.
Massive action, right? Yeah. And all the other stuff seems to just kind of
you figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out, and it comes into play. Yeah. Other people opportunities come into play. Or whatever, or you get to learn yourself a little bit more. Hey, I'm actually really good at this repo thing.
Absolutely.
I have a question about the repo because I'm actually really interested in this. So you're going nationwide. Yeah. Did you get into any altercations where you had to have a firearm or something like that? Because I've seen on Facebook videos people running outside like, hey, that's my car.
So I mentioned that my partner's an ex. Washington County Texas.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
And so he brought kind of the rational, let's not expose ourselves to danger.
Okay.
Let's not get shot over an ATV.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm right there with you, man. I don't need this. So they're verbal stuff. People are mad. My partner is extremely talented, and he probably still is because we don't do the repos anymore, at talking people off the ledge and getting them to turn stuff over, being very rational about it and just saying, we're not going to forcibly take this, but here's what's going to happen if it goes on. You're getting
there's a reason why I'm here.
and you're getting tagged more and more every time we got to come out. There's stuff that's accumulating on your thing. So what ended up happening was, so we got the repo and all that. This is where Cranky Ape comes in. And this is where I'll explain to you what Cranky Ape is.
Okay.
So we took the units that we got when we were repoing them. Now they're not insurance, so the totaled fund doesn't apply because totaled vehicles have salvage titles.
Yep.
Okay. So when you look at, you want to maximize your value on auction because that's what we are. We're an online auction. Now we have the repossessed things that are clean title, and all this stuff. So on the fly, we had to rebrand. And so we got on, my partner and I, we used to share an office. Yep. And I was sitting behind him, and we're on a domain search. And we're typing in, can we be the next Google? Let's make up a word. And it's like, that's stupid. You can't do that. And we're trying to find anything that has repo and auction in there. There's nothing. If it was available, they wanted $10,000 for it. They're holding it hostage.
Yep.
And I typed in Cranky Elf, and it came back as available. And it came up, and I turned to my partner and I said, hey, Cranky Elf is available. What do you think? A badass looking elf on a. And he looked at me, and I won't say it, but he said, bleep, no. And I said, okay. The second one I typed in was, because I was basing it off Cranky, was Cranky Pig. And it came back at the time, and this was early 2000s, to a Minnesota company, which was bizarre.
Yeah.
That was like doing DVD transfers or something. I'm like, oh, crap. And then I typed in Cranky Ape, and it pulled up. And I turned to him and I said, Cranky Ape. I said, a badass looking ape on a Harley with ape hangers and a tattoo. And he's like, register right now. And so that's how the name came about. It wasn't planned. We wanted something that we could obviously market.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so the idea of Cranky Ape, the logo came up because I immediately made a call to another friend of mine who was kind of connected in the graphics world. And Carlson Travel Network, Carlson Wagonly Travel used to be the big one, Kurt Carlson. It was a huge company in town. There was a gal in their graphics department that I called on the sly, and I said, hey, I need a cartoon ape, and it's got to have a tattoo that says born to bid. And so she came back like a day later with 5 different versions, and the last one is our logo. The only difference was she had a red heart. It said born to bid with a red heart, and I said, nah. I said, go with the cheesy barbed wire. I said, that'll hit our demographic a little more. So that's how Cranky Ape came about on the name. There was no rhyme or reason to it. It was an open domain name that we thought we could market.
Yeah.
But ultimately what we are, because that was your question, is we are an online auction, and we particularly focus on repossessed vehicles and insurance salvage, which we call them repairables.
Yep.
So they're cars, trucks, vans. If you go on our website, it's every type of vehicle you could pretty much imagine. We do commercial grade lawnmowers and stuff. So you go into our lawn care. I mean, it's these big zero turns and stuff. And we have national contracts with, major banks, major lenders, major finance companies. Yep. On the insurance side, you'll see wreck stuff on there, and it'll say salvage. So what we're trying to do is we're an alternative to going to a dealer. Okay. Where you're going to go in, especially now when you look at what's happening in the economy. Okay, with prices cranked up, interest rates cranked up. Yeah. When you get to the core of what an auction is, the market determines the value.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so in essence, you're setting your own price.
Yep.
Right? If you've got a $4,000 budget and you want to get a car, and it's going to have higher mileage, and you go to Cranky Ape on a Wednesday, and there's 25 or 40 cars on there, and you're bidding, but you set your high bid at 4. Okay, wait for the next one to come around. Yeah. You're not going to get talked into, hey, we'll make your payment $200. No, you know what your budget is, and see what you can get into.
And see what you can get. Yeah.
And
I actually like that a lot. It puts more in control of the consumer.
Physically being there, I think it's much better too.
And the way we do it on the website, in terms of we do condition reports and all that, we're required to and stuff. So we do a big
let the viewers and listeners know what the URL is for the website.
So it's www.crankyape.com.
Yep.
So Cranky Ape, like Mad Monkey.
Yep. I love the name of it.
So I know Julian kind of touched on this, and you were in the repo world. You don't do it anymore. You guys yourselves, you do run the business, but there has to be some great crazy stories. That you don't have to go into super details, obviously, names, this, that, but
we can give fake names.
Tell us some crazy stories in the repo world, because I have a buddy who also does towing and stuff, and he has some crazy.
Absolutely. So it's one of the craziest ones. I say it's crazy. I had a new hire that we were bringing on to do some of the repos and stuff. And he was a younger kid. I mean, he's probably 22, and we had to go down to Nebraska, and we were going after a fifth wheel travel trailer, one of those that fits over the back of a truck. And I remember this guy's brand new, and I'm talking for the 4.5 hours about here's what the responsibilities are, and here's what we got to do. And we pull up to this farm field and this farmhouse, and the fifth wheel's right in front of the house, and it's stuck in the mud. So I know you're not just going to back up to it and hook on. So you got to go door knock, right? Yeah. So here's this kid with me, and I hand him all the paperwork, and I said, just let me do the talking. He's like, okay, that's fine. No big deal. Knock on the door. This probably 300-pound guy is in boxer shorts and a wife beater with a shotgun.
Jeez.
And he's holding it there, and he's like, what do you guys want? And right there, I'm like, okay, this isn't cool.
No.
And so I just explained to him, like we had done numerous times before, that, hey, we're here on behalf of the bank. I got to take your fifth wheel. And he's getting a little heated. And then he says something about, I'll use the shotgun. And I looked at him and I said, you're really going to shoot me over a travel trailer? And he goes, no. I said, then just put it down. And he put it down. I'm like, whew, okay.
Yeah, that's there we go.
Well, the kid next to me,
he pissed his pants.
He's dropping a load in his shorts and stuff. And so we talked to the guy, and I said, I need to call the bank. And I called the bank. And the banks actually, a lot of times, they want their loan to get caught up, and they'll let them keep it. But in situations like this where they threaten and all that stuff, one phone call and they'll say, no, just take it. Yeah. Okay, well, I had to go back and tell them, because I talked to the bank and I said, yeah, this guy had a shotgun. And they're like, oh, take it. And I'm like, not a problem. So went back up to him, and he starts blaming George Bush and all, because it was in the early 2000s and all this stuff. And I just went, okay. The guy ended up pulling it out of his property for us with his tractor and stuff. Now, the funny part of the whole story was, the minute we sit in the truck, what does the kid say to me? I quit. It's like, I'm done. And so, he was one and done, because he's like, I can't do this. But those situations were very rare. We had one on Lake Minnetonka where we pulled a boat off that got a little hairy, but we talked to the owners and stuff, and the friend wanted to have a physical confrontation, and we just were like, it's not worth it for us. And next thing you know, my partner's talking to the debtor. He ends up pulling the boat out and putting it on his trailer.
Well,
and so
that's what, when it gets physical like that, do you have, like, can you just call the police and have them, or have you had police presence there when those type of situations arise?
Normally you can't get them involved in it because it's not it's a civil matter. Yeah. It's not a criminal matter.
Okay.
But if there's, that was the only firearm that was ever pulled in 300-400 repos that I did.
Yeah.
Normally what you get is a lot of crying.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of people that are mad but understand it.
Yeah.
And again,
you don't have someone that just jumps on the front of the hood of the car.
No, and we would never put ourselves in that situation.
Okay.
And the people that did work for us, our employees that did do that when we used to do the repos, we would tell them just walk. Because there's a lot of legalities behind it too. It's called breaching the peace. If your car's in repo and I come up to repo it and you come out and say, get off my property, and I don't, I mean, there's nuances around it. It's a breach of the peace. And what that'll cost the bank, if it's proven in court, is you'll get out of your loan amount.
Yeah.
You could probably get damages from it. And we've always approached it as it's not worth it.
It's not worth it, yeah.
Because you can go back to the bank and they can get court orders. And then, now if you have a court order, then you can call the police to come enforce it. So
you can come with the sheriff.
You can come with the sheriff and they'll say turn it over. And there's some states, some regional states here, that you have to get a court order to do it anyway. But we got out of that. Now we're basically we're a repossession, like, forwarding company. So we control the whole process. So banks assign it to us. We select our repo company across the country to go get the stuff. Once that gets done, then it rolls to the Cranky Ape side, and then we get it all ready and then put it on auction for the bank.
That's pretty smart. Yeah. I like that. That's amazing.
What's the future hold, Jay, for you, the company? You know, what is your, you said earlier on, you didn't have a business plan, but you had a vision plan.
Right.
What's next on that vision plan?
So I'm glad you asked. I think what's happening now, and we're seeing it from big competitors, and we had this idea about a year ago, and we're trying to roll it out as quick as we can because everybody else is kind of catching on it. We've always wanted a marketplace for vehicles like what we do. Okay, when I say marketplace, you look at some of our kind of direct/indirect competitors. You look at Craigslist. You look at Marketplace, where people can go post their own stuff, okay? We envision, and this is what we're working on, this is kind of the chatter that's coming through my industry, is having that one spot where you can do it all. So if you guys want to sell something, okay, just on your own and set a price, you can come to Cranky Ape and do it, okay? You'll have your own profile. You can either do it classified. You can do any sorts of things. If you want to run it on auction, you can set it up yourself, because right now with our contracted vendors, our clients, we have to take possession of the stuff. It has to be on our lot, okay, secured on our lot. We don't have an option. If you guys want to sell something privately, you would have to bring it to our lot. And we get a lot of consignment volume. People sell stuff through us all the time. We do that. Dealers.
So I can sell my car through Cranky.
Yeah, you could bring it down and set a reserve. That way it doesn't sell if it doesn't hit what you want. Yeah. And we handle all of it, the title work. We're a licensed dealer in every state that we have a location in. So we handle all that. So if you look at it compared to like a Craigslist, meaning somebody in an alley or, whatever,
no, it's just not safe.
It's way more secure.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all of our stuff. But where are we going? We want this marketplace where people can come and do all that, where they can go on the Cranky Ape. They can utilize the buyer base that we have, which is, I mean, we get 400 to 500,000 unique visitors every month. Okay, so you can put it on there. You just want to run an ad and try to sell it outright. You tap into that. Okay, you want to run it on auction. You can do that too, and you're especially for specialty stuff, because everything seems to be car based. Yeah, out there. I mean, we're really the only one that does it to our scale in the United States.
Like ATVs, boats, RVs, and all that stuff.
But so that's kind of what we're building on right now, and the other aspect of it is because of where the economy is. Obviously, repos are increasing. To put it in perspective to what you guys do, back in 07, 08, when we saw the first housing crisis and all that stuff, we were the kind of the precursor to that. Okay, people were giving up their RVs and their ATVs and their motorcycles at an alarming rate, and we could kind of look at it and go, ooh, there's something bad coming. And next thing you know, you had this huge housing crisis because people aren't going to give up. I look at it as the home's way out here. They're not going to give that up. No. They need a place to live. their car to get to school and, take the kids to school, go grocery shop, and that's next. The toys are they're the first to go. So when we start seeing that, and we're seeing that now, I mean, we're seeing huge influx of late model, especially RVs and stuff. You're looking, 21, 22s that are coming back already on repo.
Oh, wow.
I might have to contact you for an RV. I've always pictured myself like driving through the countryside in an RV.
Rent one first, and then you'll see if you like it.
Yeah, probably.
Don't just buy an RV.
But that's kind of
but then I thought about it. I was like, do I really want to be on the road with my family, like all in like one? Like, oh my god.
I did that growing up, and I do not, and will never own an RV.
Yeah,
I do want an ATV. I want an ATV.
Listen, I love you guys.
Yeah,
please.
Exactly. You're in this little box driving across country. Yeah.
Right.
So we know you have a big family, right? We mentioned that early on, and I love big families, right? I think like there's nothing more thing to me like at the dinner table or this like the ruckus. Like I love having a bunch of kids and this, even though it is a ruckus, but it makes me feel good, right?
Right.
It's kind of reminds me of like the house filled on Thanksgiving or Christmas or this or whatever holiday. Yeah. So from a basketball star to a famous gamer on TikTok.
Oh, geez.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Who's your favorite, right? Of course. We'll send this to all of them.
Great.
And what is like growing up from boys to having a house full of like ladies? Did it take some adjusting? And what's your, one tip? How do you raise your boys, right? What your family and what that all means to you?
Okay.
There's a bunch of questions in there, but it all kind of rotates around family.
It's great. So I have a blended family.
Yep.
I got divorced back in like 2011. Mm-hmm. So I have 3 boys, 27, 25, 23. I became a bonus dad to 3 bonus daughters.
Yep.
Who are now 21, 18, and 15.
Okay.
So what was it like? So raising boys, I think, is a lot easier than raising girls.
Agreed.
But that's all I had to reference.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give you an example. When I first really got to know my bonus daughters before my wife and I were married, we were traveling in the car, and my oldest bonus daughter, you're saying she's a basketball star. She's playing Division I basketball at Valparaiso University, and then the middle one just signed with Minnesota Duluth for next year, so she's on scholarship up there. But she's very, very strong-willed. She is like one of the toughest, like mentally tough girls. She was saying something in the car, and I remember I was driving, and it was kind of disrespectful. I mean, at the time, she's probably only 12 or 13, and she was saying something disrespectful to my now wife, and I just made a comment. I kind of shook my head, and I said, man, if my boys would say something like that, I'd slap the taste out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And oh my God. Oh, he's gonna beat me up and he's gonna
Oh my God.
No. But it was just one of those things that it was like, yep, I can't talk like that to the girls. And I don't, but it was just trying to say, be respectful, but he's threatening to hit me. I'm like, no, I really wasn't. But that, I think the emotional side of things was the toughest part.
Yeah.
It's just it's a sliding scale with girls. It just is, and it's not a bad thing. It's just
a different thing.
It's the way they're wired.
I did soccer coaching for boys and then for girls, and it is a big difference to kind of get used to it, because, like you said, you can push the boys a little bit more.
You for sure push the boys. See,
Yeah.
I haven't I coach boys basketball, traveling ball, 7th and 8th graders.
Okay.
So I can talk to them a little bit, because I'm getting prepared for high school.
Right.
Talk to them a little bit tougher, like, hey, this
For
isn't
sure.
mommy and daddy talking to you.
For
and
sure.
Parents love that. A lot of
Secretly,
them
they do. Secretly, they do.
The ones that did love it came out and said, like, yeah, please be hard on my boy.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I would get that with dealing with girls.
No.
I was
please be hard on my girl.
No, because then they complain, and then it just gets back to you, and you're just like, so that's why it's like and I don't know.
But I really think the difference between the two is just the approach.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. You can make your same point with not bring the emotion into it and stuff, and. But yeah, it's the coaching aspect. I got asked to coach girls hockey a number of years ago.
Nice.
And I didn't do it. I said I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I was coaching high school kids that didn't play high school.
Yeah.
So I coached high school in the early 90s in Woodbury, and then I went back to the youth program and stuff, and then coached my kids. And then for the last 8 years, I was coaching out in Stillwater. I actually just retired. I said, this is it, because I got 2 bonus daughters playing college basketball. It's like, it's just
too much.
No, the high school girls, like some of them are just not competitive. Some of them are, but like if the majority of them aren't, it infests, and then they're not competitive. Where it's like me, like I'm competitive. Like I'm like, I don't care what I'm doing, I have to. Like,
and I think my style, but I think my style too. I mean, and you're saying you're getting prepared for high school. Mm-hmm. My approach to especially hockey is old school. Yeah, it's like maybe there's some 4-letter words that come out of my mouth once in a while in practice, and just the harshness, and get your ass in there. And
I cuss all the time in practice.
But I didn't feel that I could coach the way I wanted to coach in coaching the girls. And I'm not saying they're weaker. I'm not saying any of that shit. I'm just saying the way I agree my with that. Style. I
the old school approach. And that's what I grew up learning, the old school approach.
I had to take my whole style, and I had to kind of, because I remember the first time thing, and then, we were losing 2-0 at halftime, and I'm like talking to the head coach. I was the assistant coach, so I'm talking to the head coach. I'm like, hey, his name was Pat. I'm like, Pat, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to switch up. We got to tell her this, that, blah, blah. All this stuff. And he's like, the whole time, he's like, yeah.
It's not going to happen.
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Exactly, because he knew I was new too. And he's like, yeah. And then so like we get out in the halftime, and he goes up to the girls. He's like, so what you guys think about that half? How do you guys all feel? Like, what? I was like,
come on,
don't ask them.
I was like, don't.
You tell them how it
goes. That was
garbage.
Exactly. I was like, how they feel.
You better ream into them.
I was like, how they feel. I was like,
that's why I could never.
And that's exactly. But now that I have kids and this and that, I can kind of see, because with my son, I'm like, do it, shoot this, that, or whatever the case, whatever sport he's playing. I'm like,
keep doing that.
Yeah, keep doing that.
I'm telling you. I mean, I'm old enough where, like, when my kids started playing at 27 and stuff, that was kind of the age of snacks and crap started taking over. That was the more important thing. And I've never, how I raised my kids, I would never let my kids like participate in that. I'd be like, I'm not getting on a snack list. I'm like, if you need something to drink after, it's not a juice box here. We'll see what we get, or have some water. You're here to play sport, not to get a snack. It may sound harsh, and I don't know if the listeners.
My son, I like it, because my son, he's kind of taken after me. Obviously, his mom gives him the little like love, because he got hit with a soccer ball. What's hilarious? Right in the face, like that kid whacked him. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. Like he got hit, and he kind of was like crying a little. I didn't run out there and think his mom ran
baby
out.
Him and all that.
Yeah, his mom ran out there in the field, and I was like sat there, and then he came out. I was like, well, part of the sport.
It's a contact sport.
And I liked because he was also like, wiped himself down, felt bad, then water, get me back out there.
See, but what a great lesson.
It's a good lesson.
And what I'm saying is to equate that to like what we're going through as business owners.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's the adversity that you hit. And what you're telling your kid right there is you need to persevere.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, you can shed a tear, and all this stuff.
Yep.
But ultimately you got to move on.
Yep.
And
Yes.
I think what we're seeing a little bit is that thought process has left a little bit, and I'm hoping it comes back.
But that's why I think sports are so important for kids, because it's not the actual sport; it's the lessons that are being taught in the sport. Right. Now if you make an A team in varsity, and you're able to go on and make money from it, or it pays for college, that's great. Right. That's wonderful,
and that's a very small percent.
That's a 1%. Very small. That's 1%.
And I think we're seeing that on the flip side. Is there's a lot of parents out there that have these grandiose visions of their kids going to go pro. And it's like, you're nuts. Your kid's not. Give them the life lessons that you need to persevere down
life
the road,
lessons.
Whether it's in your personal life or whatever.
I still have the life lessons from my basketball coaches. Like it's ingrained in me, because it's from playing it, and how the structure is, and it's like, are you going to cry about something, or are you going to do something about it? Like a solutions based. Like, so like those things are so important. And some people have a father figure in your life, and then some people don't, so like, I think like
a lot of times coaches actually are more important than some of the figures they have.
They step in.
It's an important thing.
There's I could go all my coaches from baseball and everything like that, and a lot of lessons that I've used till today. And it's important, and then it's also important in regards to the team structure, right?
Yes,
for sure.
When you work on a team and stuff, you get to know your role and stuff like that. You get to know comfortable.
You have responsibilities.
This is what I need to do to help the team. And sometimes it might be a sucky part of whatever you need to do, right? Sometimes I needed to take the bunt or get hit by the ball to get my team across the finish line.
Yeah, you sacrifice.
But you sacrifice, exactly. You sacrifice because the collective and the team is important, especially in this society where it's a lot of rugged individualism.
For sure.
That's why people tend to love sports and tend to love play it and then watch it and all that. Okay. Last kind of question we want to ask, this is a question that Julian always loves to ask. What would you tell your younger self, right? If you could go in a Cranky Ape time machine, right? Yep. Check the website for that one. If you could go in that time machine and you can go back to the LJ, what would you tell him? Just at that point of time when, your dad's telling you, hey, I think this and this, what would you go back to say?
I think I would tell myself, number one, to follow what I wanted to follow, especially as a high schooler coming out, going into college, to comment on my dad and stuff. Not disrespectful, but just saying, you know what, having the guts to say, I don't want to go into business. No, I'm glad I did. Obviously, I learned a lot and all that. And ultimately, was he right? Maybe, yeah. Do you want to admit it? But but was I following my true dream or my true path that I thought? I think on a broader scale, after getting the business degree and stuff, I think I would tell myself in my 20s to go try more things, especially in business. Yeah. I think the 20s are for the experimentation to see what you really like and don't like. And maybe that would have been
a bit more risks.
Yeah, more risk because I didn't, I got married at an early age, but still there was plenty of years there where I could have tried different industries, different things. But I really got into a paycheck mentality in my 20s where I was making good money and it's like, oh yeah, just give me the paycheck. That's what I tell my 20s. In my 30s, I really would focus in on what I determined was my, I'll say passion. I hate that word because people misinterpret it because not all passions can create a livelihood for you to support your family. Yeah. You just can't. But I really focus on building something around whatever I really enjoyed in my 30s, work my ass off as much as I could. And I started my company in the early 30s, but I kind of wasted 10 years. You know what I mean? Like you said, what would I tell myself? Don't waste those 10 years. Try different things. Maybe I would have found Cranky Ape back when I was, 24. You know what I'm saying? And then now where would we be? You just never know.
Yeah, of course, never. You never.
But then in my 40s, really focus on making the money and stuff in the 50s, and so it wouldn't be that much of a change as to what I'm doing. But I think in not wasting like my 20s, really having an open mind, going, I don't have that much responsibility. I didn't have a mortgage early on in my early 20s. I didn't have kids. What was really tying me down? Maybe move, go somewhere else, see what I could do. I didn't do it. I took kind of the secure path,
safe route.
Yeah,
safe route.
And if you look historically, though, at like my parents' generation, that's the route they took. They would stay with the company for 45 years, get their gold watch, and retire on a pension. Yep. And it's now there's so many opportunities here, and even back when we started Cranky, I mean, you look at the 90s and stuff, things had kind of changed, but I was still in that mode of safety,
that mindset of safety,
paycheck mentality. Do I regret it? No. I mean, I'm in a great place. I got a big family, 3 bonus daughters, 3 sons, they're making me proud. My one, the gamer, Hydrocam, he's tearing it up. My middle son's, he owns a cleaning company and stuff. So it's like, oh man, it's
proud. Your priorities change too. Like you said, you have 7 kids, right? You obviously grew them all up and they're all now doing other things that make you proud.
And you got the business.
Yeah, and you have the business. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that was the 7th kid, right? That is as a child, you grow up and you feed and everything, and then it does wonderful things. Yeah. Jay, thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate all your time.
Love to have you back. For
sure, man. You just make the call.
Okay. Yes, we will make the call. We want to give you a chance to let everyone know about where to find your business. So go ahead, look into your camera, and let the people know where to go find you. Any social media. Obviously, you said the website, but if you want to say it again, if there's any pertinent information, any special dates they need to know? So
our auctions run every Wednesday, and they start closing around 11 o'clock Central Time. If you go to www.crankyape.com, You can check out all the categories. It's everything from cars, trucks, vans, boats, motorcycles, ATVs. We have a miscellaneous category. So you can find car stereos and stuff and all this miscellaneous stuff. It's probably our most popular category.
Rims? You got rims in there?
I don't know if we've ever had one.
That might be something to look into.
All right. No, but yeah, just that website. Go there, and the auctions, like I said, are once a week. Okay. They close. The last one will close around 3:00 Central Time, and then immediately the next week's auctions will post. So you can see what's coming on and all that. You register as a member. It's $50 for a year to bid, but that way we can authenticate if you have a valid credit card to secure the bid and all this stuff. But it's open to anyone. You can browse on the site. You don't have to be a member. You can just go check it out. Normally people go there, and then if they see something they want to buy, then they'll register as a member. You create a screen name and a password. Everything else, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's you bid. The one thing we did introduce, I told you about the eBay model where it closes right at noon. We were like one of the first auctions that we have a 5-minute extension. So if a bid comes in with 5 minutes remaining, the auction will stay open for 5. And if another one comes in, it'll go 5, and it'll go at 5-minute intervals until there's no bidding. So it's more like a real auction format.
Yeah.
So
I love
other than that, no, man, I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
For sure. This was an insightful
I'm glad
episode.
we met expectation at the beginning there. Guys, make sure to go check out Cranky Ape on their website if you guys looking for anything like that. Thank you everyone for watching, listening. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the content. And comment what you took away from this podcast. You know, there was a lot of great entrepreneurial talk, even though we talked about the word entrepreneurship and, you know, some of the stigma, whatever the case may be around it. Don't look at it that way, you know, in sales and how it can encompass in all of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, thank you all so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you next week on episode 23. Perfect number for the perfect person named Michael Jordan, who is the owner of a rising Minnesota brand called Unreal. So number 23, Michael Jordan, will be here with our Unreal gear watching him.
Let him know he's following me, though. Okay?
He's following Jay. He's behind the Cranky Ape.
Yeah, he's behind Cranky.
Yep. Okay, you guys.
Right.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.